Hi there. Welcome to One Life to Live, or As the Group Turns. Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. How we're all sort of the same person, and I have a little group of people with whom I am actively practicing being that. And we're going to talk about it here at Suzanne's, my little restaurant, where I've got my table reserved for the old gourmet guru. That's me. And we're dispensing delicious food for thought. Someday we may even have hamburgers. But you know, where can you go for good soul food? Hamburgers are anywhere, right? I want to talk to you today about a kind of modern day Garden of Eden. That's the name of the production company that produces this show. And my producer's name, felicitously, happens to be Maxwell Eden. But it was a lucky choice he got born to that. Because indeed, it turns out that a kind of Garden of Eden reality is what I think life could be about. And my friends and I are actively involved in doing whatever it takes to explore every nook and cranny of paradise. Now, paradise really isn't a lot of bananas and mangoes, you know. I mean, what good is another mango if there's nobody to share it with? My idea of paradise is people deeply in love. People just seeing the best of themselves by seeing how good their friends are and being able to see how good their friends are. Well, how could they know if they weren't themselves equally wonderful? Paradise is where we're all just having an excellent time together. My group is like brothers and sisters in this Garden of Eden, where our reality is, actually, you know what I want to do? I want to read you what somebody said about it. My friend Zane made a wonderful comment, and we fortunately had our tape recorder on. So this is what Zane said about the Garden of Eden that we live in. You know, this show is all about asking questions about what life's all about. I mean, what's life all about for you? And I'm here to just offer my version of what I think makes the good life at a time when I think it's really important to ask those questions and to answer those questions. We're living kind of mindlessly in the big world, troubled, but somewhat mindlessly, not yet really knowing where we're going, why we should be going there, not knowing it as a group, not knowing it as a planet. And some people, like my friends and I, are trying to come up with the answers for everybody. Fortunately, the answers for oneself turns out to be the answer for everybody, so all you have to do is look in your own backyard. So here's our backyard of paradise, our Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden according to Zane. The recognition that you are already in the Garden of Eden, you start with that. You don't look around and say, when am I going to be free? When am I going to be in the Garden of Eden? You really look and see the jewel. You know, a lot of people are surrounded by glory, but if they're not looking, what good does it do? You only see the jewel when you are with people you're in love with. Otherwise, you're in hell. If you're in hell, all the flowers disappear. You don't hear the wind. You just hear the torment, and you lose your energy. When you're in that energy of love, you look, wow, flowers. Look all around here. What a garden. Then you think, what else can we add to the garden? Look all around here. Oh no, I said that already. What else can we add to the garden? The temple. What is it going to be? The spirit that is already here is perfection. I don't feel that we have to succeed or do anything when we start living our lives the way we already are starting to do. That dream for me has been forever. You get up with friends, you meditate, a little yoga, a little Tai Chi. I love it. At that point, we were applauding so hard that Zane stopped. But that did seem to be what we were all about. He seemed to be capturing a spirit that we really identified with. You know, we're not only hanging out together, my friends and I, but we're talking about it. We're being intentional about it. We didn't just happen to find ourselves in a great reality together. We're creating that great reality together. Now, it's very tricky, of course, to create paradise realities. And what I want to talk to you about here and every week is how to develop a paradise reality for ourselves. What could that possibly be? One thing you have to do, though, is find your friends. As I said, it's no good alone. And as Zane said, it's no good alone. Alone, you know, it looks like you're nowhere. But with wonderful fellow players, well, you could be anywhere and it would look like paradise. So what are these friends all about? What kind of people? What kind of people are we looking for? Well, Max got brought up real interestingly. If we could all bring each other up the rest of the way, because that is what we're doing, we're bringing each other in to our spirits. Seems to be what we're doing here, you know. Seems to be we got born here thinking we were animals, and we are, and discovering that, in fact, we're much more than that. If you guys know what I'm talking about, by the way, and if you like the way I say it, you be sure and call me up. My telephone number is going to flash at the end of the program. And I'm really looking for you. I mean, the garden's open. It's got lots of room in it. And anybody who thinks the way I think, we'd love to have you think with us. It's a heavy think job we got going on. It's not easy, you know, but it is fun, always. What are we doing here? We're looking at it together. Looking at it together seems to be the secret. All of us trying to figure it out alone. You can only go so far. You can create a certain peace within yourself. But it doesn't seem to be in the master plan to have it stop there. The plan, as it comes to us from hither and yon, we keep talking about all those hithers and yons on the show, seems to be that we are to look at it together. It's not to go on from here alone. We've gone about as far as we can go being Horatio Algers. Now we have to be brothers and sisters. Does that make sense? Is Horatio Alger the right one? You know, the one who went out and did it by himself. Well, all of us doing it by ourselves together, with each other, for ourselves, is the way.
Excuse me, Suzanne.
Yes? That's, it used to be God, but I realize now he's a janitor. He just goes around cleaning me up. Yes, Max, what do you got to say?
God, demoted or promoted.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't want you to pass up. You would give my mother a cosmic plug.
Oh, we're coming to your mother.
Oh,
we haven't come to your mother yet.
Did I anticipate that?
Adele is absolutely on the agenda here.
She'll hear her name twice then.
Right. Well, first of all, I wanted to say that it's not about gurus. You know, it's not about somebody telling you what to do. It's about being all of it yourself. Otherwise, you're always dependent. And you can only go so far. You can be a sweet, dependent being, but the world needs more than that. So if you had a mother like Adele, you would have got brought up in a spirit of absolute acceptance. What Adele did with Max was brilliant. And that's what we can all do with each other. I said we're all still bringing each other up. That's what we're doing now. Well, we could take a lesson from Adele. When Max didn't do something right, what Adele would do would be say, that was a funny sentence, but it's getting us to the right place. Adele would say, "It's all right, Max, you'll do it better next time." I mean, would you like a mother like that? Or friends like that? Or anybody like that? I want everybody like that. I mean it. I'm a good person. I mean, I'm always in there pitching. And seeing that that's true, I'd like to be totally appreciated. Somebody once said to me, "What do you want, Suzanne? You want everybody to understand the way you want to do it?" And I, at that time, said, "Oh, no, not me." Yes. And I want to understand the way you want to do it. And I want us to all get what we want. And seeing as we're not nasty people who fight with each other and climb on each other, well, we're not, you know. Are you? If so, read a bunch of books. Stay tuned to this program. Call me up and find out when the program's going to be on again. We don't have a regular time, possibly, depending on when you're looking at this. But if you call the number that flashes, you'll always find out when the program's on. Also, you know, you might take to carrying a notebook. That's what all my friends and I are doing. A lot of them are doing anyway. Because we seem to be learning something about the way the world works now, all of us. Messages seem to be coming in. Some people are tuned in to something that's beyond this. That's in the master plan also. When the messages come in, if you write them down, you'll have a nice collection of what you know when you know the most. It's like what maybe your higher self knows. I've talked about this before. In fact, when I wrote down all my smarts, and when I went back and studied them to do this show and to prepare written material that I'd be delighted to send you if you let me know, if you call me up and let me know, or write to me and let me know. I've got my notes all collected. When I went to edit them and to prepare for the show, that was a training in higher consciousness. It was all the things I knew when I was the smartest. Listen, I'm not always the smartest. I mean, would that I were. But none of us are. I mean, I wouldn't even say would that I were. Forget I scratch it. We're all of us learning. We're very young. It's a young planet. And it's okay where we are, as long as we keep going in the right direction. So Max had this wonderful mother who just absolutely supported him, let him do whatever he would do, and trusted him. That's the secret, trusting one another. You have to be with people you trust. Of course, you have to trust yourself first. A story for other shows. In fact, we'll talk about that on our next show. One of my real good friends, Kenny Riches, is going to be on our next show. And he's going to map our insides for us. 10 minutes to nirvana. So that we can just relax and know we're okay. And then we can be with other people who are relaxed and know they're okay. You know, when you're with people who are like that, you get a sense they're real. It's actually kind of funny to be doing this television show about being real, because here I am, I got cameras in a studio, and all I want to do is hang out with you guys, you know. I watch it, and I watch myself on, you know, on television, and I think, well, gosh, look at that person is she being real all the time? What is real? I'm real interested in what real is, because real is what you can trust. And you feel it. You don't go to school to learn it. You don't go to school to learn when somebody else is real. You just feel it. Somebody's relaxed. Somebody's in who they are. They have not got a big facade up of a pretense that you have to figure out who's in there. You just know you're with a friend. Well, that's what my friends are all like. I love people like that. If you're like that, you be sure to visit, huh? Something I've always liked is something from the Bible where they talk about 2 or more gathered in the name. What they're talking about is the Spirit. When people are real with one another, they're in the best that they can be, which is their spirit, not the shell, but what's inside. And when a couple of people, or more than a couple of people, get together, and what happens is their spirits mingle. It's like they don't have a body anymore. They don't have a shell anymore. And their spirits are as one. That's the time, by the way, when we stop having wars and we start creating the whole planet as paradise. When we all get it that we're all the same person, you know, why would we fight with one another? Why would you fight with yourself? We do that sometimes, don't we? Crazy. So 2 or more are gathered in the name is a nice phrase if you don't know it already. Nice thought from the Bible. It's the Christ principle, you know, 2 or more gathered in the Spirit. And when you're that way, you're not working on how to be together. You don't have to run your community like a police state where you have to make lists for who takes out the garbage. Well, you may do that just to make things easier, but that's not what it's about. It's not about being together to be convenient or to save money or to have less electricity, you know. No, it's about being together to actually add to each other, to add electricity, human, live energy. And when you're in this realness together, you can skip the steps of struggling to be able to merely be together. You're together. And that's what my friends and I are. We're absolutely together. Our jaws are hanging out. How did this happen? How did we get so lucky to find one another? We've only been looking for decades. All of us, we have. And are real ecstatic at finding ourselves in the same space together. And everything becomes a game. Everything becomes a creation. It's not a struggle anymore just to make it work. It's a creation to have a wonderful time. We're looking at how we're doing that. It so happens that those of us who are together fall into these wonderful sharings, these wonderful co-creations, somewhat naturally out of who we are. But it's tricky. Life's tricky for everybody, again, because we're so young and inexperienced at how to be together. You know, I think if my group can really make it together, I don't know, the next thing might be the whole planet. It's so powerful what any small individual or small group can do at this time. It's almost like we're looking for the answer. And anytime anybody has it, all the energy is going to go there. And it's going to be public. And more people are going to know. I mean, it does work that way. So we think of ourselves as really doing something first and foremost for ourselves, but ourselves as everyone. Because we know that we are everyone also. And we're looking at how to be as intentional as we can be about making all this be as beautiful as it can be. So we're doing a few things, like for instance, we're walking around saying, we must make positive choices, always make positive choices. Did you ever read Huxley's Island? A wonderful book about a community of people that really made it together. I mean, it was so wonderful because it's so rare. All those people were in it together. They knew they were in it together, and they were keeping one another awake to what they knew. Well, what they knew. Let me read you what they knew. What in fact are boys and girls for? It says in the book, for actualization, for being turned into full-blown human beings. And adolescents are helped to experience their transcendental unity with all other sentient beings. That's being real together, being our spirits together. Life's goal being to become what you really are. You're not looking to add something onto yourself. You're looking to just settle into what's always been there and who you've always been, except you didn't know it. And you came here to this planet to discover it. You know, these are my ideas about reality. You can read lots of books and get a lot of other people's ideas. We'll talk about that with Kenny next week. You know, first, you sort of want to know where you're going in your head, and then you make a plan to get there. Well, you're hearing from me my sense of where we're going and a lot about my plan to get there. So anyway, what they do in Ireland is they keep poking each other. When somebody's mean or when somebody's negative, birds on the island, trained birds, say, attention, just to wake people up to the fact that they've gone to sleep and they got nasty. If you're awake, why would you be nasty? It doesn't feel good, you know? And if you're nasty, guess who doesn't feel good? Right, you, me. Doesn't do any good, you know? So why bother? Except we're conditioned. A lot of people are doing it all around us. And we're learning. So my group is into only making positive choices. And as we do that, as we just allow one another to be who they are, suggest how they could be more, never go against, never put your dukes up and say, what do you mean by that? You say, what do you mean by that? It's real simple. It's positive. It's not complicated. Life's not complicated, you know. You only think it is. I'm here to unravel it a little. Another thing we're doing is something, we just started to talk about doing something called nip it in the bud. When you get feeling scared, or I wonder what so-and-so meant by that, and then you walk around churning over it, and then finally, what did you mean by that? The minute it says, I wonder what they meant by that, you say, what do you mean by that? Before there's any kind of terror going on, you know, before it's gone so far that you can't control it anymore, you nip it in the bud. And you just make it into inquiry. You make it into query instead of into challenge. Why challenge one? Why challenge yourself? Just find out what yourself is talking about. Happiness, I do believe, is a full-time profession. I don't think it happens by accident. For instance, if I'm looking over there at you and I think, oh, you don't love me. And I say, why don't you love me? I just go over to you. I give you a big kiss. And guess what? You love me then. It's so easy. Program yourself positively. Program your life positively. And it'll be positive. I want to, I think, switch over now to one of our little old departments here, where we're going to bring you, first of all, our high-octane hit of the week, where I'm going to bring you something from outside of what I'm going to talk about, something outside of this show. That's a turn-on. That's something the Cosmic Fuel Pump dispenses for your absolute delight. And the turn-on this week is a suggestion. It's a suggestion that you do what some of my friends are doing. Some of my friends are borrowing videotapes from me and showing them to their friends. I mean, their friends, you know, whom I don't know. And they're having parties at which, what happens when you go to parties? I have a hard time finding people who are real myself. I just go around trying to find somebody to talk to. And I don't know what happens. People, well, a lot of people have trouble being real anyway, but at parties, wow. So funny that we're supposed to be having a good time. Well, my suggestion is that you have parties where you get kind of seated and primed by showing my show. And I'd even like to be there. I mean, if it's feasible and possible, I'd love to come to your parties. And we can talk about how we can be together, how we can be real together. I can share what my friends do. You can share what your friends do. What kind of tips do you have? Nip it in the bud and only make positive choices. What do you do to stay on the high side? So I'd like to know that. I'd like to be at your parties and we can share there. So you have Suzanne parties, huh? Call me up and we'll set it up. The next department that I want to go over to is messages from Central, where Central being, the main intelligence, the thing that knows, the way it is, the is. And I want to read you, these are when people are clear, messages come through from the grander knowing that we're all learning about. And here are some of actually, first I want to read to you some messages from my friends, not from famous folks afar, but from my friends, talking about what we're doing. In fact, we may not even get to famous folks today. We may just have my friends be the be-all and the end-all today. So I'm just going to read you some little collection of all the little bright things they've said. We have no gurus, just a central principle, says one of them. I'm not going to tell you who says what, because I don't remember, actually. They were all so smart, my friends. I like cooking with friends, washing dishes with friends, meditating with friends. It's like even the junk is fun with friends. Feels like we're on a slide going up. It's not a struggle being solved. It's accomplishments and creations. That's what we're doing. Garden of Eden, our Garden of Eden, is a place where everyone does whatever, wherever they want. And it comes from a recognition that everyone's entitled and equal. We start from all of us just being entitled. We don't have to earn our entitlement to have what we want. We're a family. And isn't a family wonderful? You get people to appreciate you and to understand you and to know where the jokes are. Isn't it awful to be with people who don't laugh at your jokes? I have a friend who divorced her husband because he didn't laugh at her jokes. Oh, it feels so good to be in this dream. Let's not ever wake up. The world is so hassly that if our group does it well, we'll have done something. Yeah, I told you that. When someone cooks food, that is, I can always taste it. When they put themselves in the leaven, you can taste the difference. The food tastes better. I think Zane said a lot of these things. Zane is very quotable. So are some of the other folks. Greg is quotable too. We'll have them on at future dates. We live in a reality of delight rather than a quest for delight. I trust that there isn't a group anywhere in the world that would give me as good a reflection as this one. We tell each other the truth with love. Say, hey, it doesn't work when you do that. Oh, no, what should I do? Oh, it's so nice to be that way instead of fighting. What's wonderful about a group is the power the group has. A common focus and a commitment to working together, that's real power, and it is. You know, some of the dreams that we've all had forever are coming true in no time at all by working together. Whatever you want, it can happen right away. You can get instant gratification. It's true. Oh, there's so many of these wonderful comments. I love them. There's this ultimate dream, and for the first time, I see it populated with more than me. For the first time in the history of the world, we can get all the little different pieces of the puzzle. Kenny said this. All the schools and philosophies. We can witness it all. That's why it's so great to be together, to take each other into all the spaces. Before we had communication, you know, who knew? Who knew what was being said far away? Well, who knew what all the different trips were? Well, we can get all of them and lay them out and look at them and see which ones look good and see which ones we want to practice this of and that of. And that's what we can do together. We can set up a whole, you know, we only use 95% of our brains. You know that. Wrong. We use 5% of our brains.
Except you. You use 95% of it. You use 95% of your brain.
So here we are in this place together with all these smarts. Well, we can stretch it out, you know. We can use lots more smarts together. where we also talk about documenting what we're doing. And let's just document our lives. That gives us the incentive to lead the best lives around. And then someone said, that's our greatest service, to just expose ourselves. I don't want to be arrogant about that. If there's any other group doing this, oh gosh, call me up also. Let me know. Let's get together. I just know that what we're doing is beautiful. And I love sharing it. When you get pricked with this soul space, all you want to do is share it. What else is there to do, you know? Go to work? Oh, yes, it's okay to go to work. But, you know, go take out the garbage and read the paper. And that's all okay, but sharing our souls is just a lot more trippy and inspirational. So speaking of trippies and inspirations, I want to leave you with a homework assignment, as we do every week. And the homework assignment this week is a mantra being something you say repeatedly. And my suggestion is that whenever you get mad or nasty or sour or uncomfortable, just merely uncomfortable. You're not supposed to be uncomfortable except to learn something. That's okay too. In fact, it's fine. If you just sort of blissed out in la-la land, that wouldn't be the most fun. It's wonderful to learn things, wonderful to get a little off so you can get on again. So this little mantra is what you say when you go off so you can get on again. And the mantra this week is, say to yourself, say yes. Example. One of my friends said to his wife, oh, our son is so smart that Grandma and Grandpa want to put him in special schools. And she, who looks at everything rather critically, said, well, I'm not so sure special schools are a good idea. Wind out of sails, you know. Say yes. Far out, they want to put him in special schools. Isn't that wonderful of them? Isn't it wonderful they think he's smart enough? Let's see, are special schools a good idea? And then you talk about special schools. Don't deflate things. You know, sing. Sing. I have a song. Okay. Where am I going? Where have I been? When will I get there? When will I get in? Who's coming with me? Who's on my ride? Who's doing somersaults right by my side? Do I have to explain to you that I don't sing? I also don't write songs. This is the first song I ever wrote. Leaves me open to you saying, you should have never, well, no. No, I like it. You know, do you think it's a cute song? Well, enough of that. Say yes. It's time to open old Suzanne's restaurant now, where all the tables are going to be buzzing with food for thought. So you call me up now and you send for my printed version of the Cosmic Fuel Pump. It's not the script of this show, you know. It's what I've been doing in my notes and what I've been thinking. And I'd love to think with you. So call me up. Let's do it together. You have fun now. Don't forget. Say yes. Bye. Call to find out when the Cosmic Fuel Pump will be on next week, and call or write if you want me to send you a copy of my written notes.